on the 6th day of March, I wrote a letter to President Cyril Ramaphosa.
Yes.
And my argument was, South Africa is the anchor economy. Mr. President, don't allow vigilantism to be what defines how you deal with illegality. It is true that every country wants to document all visitors who are in their country. But you don't allow half-naked individuals to be running around the streets of Durban or Johannesburg, moving from shop to shop, trying to determine who is documented or who is not documented. And you don't allow them, particularly when you know that they are using derogatory terms. They are telling Africans, leave. When I wrote that letter, I received several letters from South Africans.
Okay.
Some of them were very angry with me, and I responded to each one of them with history. Some of them then apologized. I told them, you cannot be in a position where you are telling everybody to go, and some of you are saying documented, some of you are saying all must go, and you are creating an environment where you instill fear in everybody. You are looting shops and all these. And none of the South African leading politicians, I listened to them, they were trying to justify the unjustifiable. And their claim is that fellow Africans are taking away jobs from them. A complete lie. Fellow Africans are creating jobs for them. If you've gone to South Africa, see individuals from Somalia, from Ethiopia, from Nigeria, from Ghana, from Kenya. They are the ones who are creating jobs where there were no opportunities, or there appear to be no opportunity. They saw them and they are creating jobs. So even if they were not documented, I would regularize them because they are adding value to the economy.
True.
But because, and permit me to say this very painfully, black South Africans are suffering from what is called the Stockholm Syndrome. They love their tormentors who are white. That is why it is not even xenophobia. A friend of me corrected me. It is Afrophobia. It is Africans that they do not want. It is the whites who still control over 70% of their land. It is the whites who run an enclave called Orania, where blacks are not allowed.
I know of Orania.
So when you look at it and you see even the very cagey responses by Maimedia, Cyril Ramaphosa, it is only after 1 month that he's now coming up and making an address, trying to be as diplomatic as you can be. But you can see in his heart of hearts that he is with the men and women in the streets. Because these individuals, through their utterances, have led others to commit murder. 5 Mozambicans dead. They have led others to lose their property. The Ghanaians have taken away or repatriated nearly 300 of them. The Nigerians are saying, and then they are saying that their fellow Africans are criminals. You would imagine that if you took away all the criminals, then South Africa would be heaven without any crime. Yet statistics tell us 90% of those in jail and counting are South African male, which means that they are the ones who are committing the crimes. If there is one odd non-South African who is engaged in this, let them be dealt with in accordance with the law. And my good friend Julius Malema said something with which I agree.
Yes.
They have started going for the foreigners. When they are done with the foreigners, they'll now turn on Veda, on Venda, Pedi, and Songa, giving meaning to that famous aphorism, if you remember, City by Martin Niemola. First they came for the Jews. And I said nothing because I was not a Jew. They came for the communists. Then they came for me. And I hope that the administration of Cyril Ramaphosa will do something about it. This idea that they are sending envoys is a scatterbrain. We must call it by its proper name. Don't they have ambassadors in Kenya? Has the Kenyan ambassador, South African ambassador to Kenya spoken about it? And the ambassadors everywhere, have they spoken about and against it? And we must remember, during the struggle against apartheid, statistics tell me that anything between 40,000 and 60,000 South Africans were in exile.
Yes.
In Mozambique, in Tanzania, in Zambia, in Kenya. I remember living next to a South African family in Jericho, and they never left. As I speak to you now, it is estimated that nearly 1 million South Africans live outside of South Africa.
Okay.
Acceptable. So when one sees what is happening, this Afrophobia, where they are telling us, go and repair your country, and I think some of them have never traveled. And they must imagine that in Africa we live on trees, jumping from branch to branch.
Okay.
Perhaps some of them, we should give them a free tour of Africa, including Nairobi and Dar es Salaam and other places and Abuja, so that they are able to see that we cannot in good nature talk about African integration when we are not working together. And lastly,
yes,
they lose out. How many people have been taking their children in high school to South Africa? South African universities, tourism. I can tell you in the next 2 months, the South African tourism will be hit and hit hard. Those who are taking their children to university in those places will withdraw their children, and they are going to regret it.
Yeah.
But we ought not to do what they are doing. My view, we should not expel them. We should not mistreat them. What we should do is, at their moment of hate, we should show them love. Then they'll be disarmed. Then they'll know that they are in the wrong, hopefully. And then I hope to see that the leaders of these gangs should be arrested and prosecuted. It is only then that I'll know the South African administration is serious about this thing.
So guys, many South Africans don't really know why majority of the Pan-Africanists are really saying that what they are doing is not the right way to send the immigrants away from your country. Nobody said illegal immigrants shouldn't stay in your country. Nobody wants illegal immigrants to stay in their country. They want them out, but they are legitimate way, they are legal way to handle this thing. And this is the major reasons why some Pan-Africanists like Julius Malema, like Lumumba are saying that they are legitimate way to talk about this and to find a permanent solution to this issue than the politicians to be using this to divide the African. To be frank with you, I don't see why Africans have to have borders in the first place. I don't see reasons why we have to be using visa to enter African country where from African nations, because if you come to the Europe here, it's very difficult. You can never see any. If you are from Spain, you can go to France, you can go to Italy, you can go to all other Europe without no visa. So I don't see why African is not doing their own like that. It will really help and even aid us in our economics and make us one Africans and a giant of Africans globally. What do you really think about the statement of Professor Lumumba on this issue? Take a look at the video.
The question of sensitivity must also be wedded with the question of government responsibility. It is the duty of government to ring fence certain areas from the get-go. I get into South Africa, the government from the get-go would say these areas of business are reserved for the locals.
Yes.
And if they are not reserved for the locals, then they can be in partnership with a foreigner up to this percentage. So failure of government to ring fence these things is what sometimes leads to the situation that we find, the so-called spaza shops, which they are complaining about. And I heard my good friend Kagoro arguing that in fact, when you destroy the spaza shops, who are you helping? ShopRite.
Yes.
Because immediately there are no kiosks or spaza shops. Where will you shop? The supermarkets. And where there are these spaza shops, the ShopRites don't thrive. So he's saying unknowingly they are actually aiding the white monopoly capital, because the reality. And Malema said it. Okay, 300 Ghanaians have left. Now show me the 300 jobs that they took away from you. Of course, he's saying it tongue in cheek, but he's saying the opportunities are not self-evident. They are created. And you also ought to have a work ethic. The work ethic, and I listened to one of the Indians saying, but you want me to employ South Africans. Not that all South Africans don't have a good work ethic. But on Monday, they'll not turn up for work. The Zimbabweans will. The Malawians will. The Mozambicans will. Because their motivation is totally different. They want to make the rand and send it back home. So it's a combination of factors which, in my view, demanded that the government ought to deal with it well. And CT was right. That the invisible political hand, when you can't solve it and you can't explain it, externalize the enemy. And that is exactly what is happening. All your problems to the foreign migrants. And remember, they are now saying there are two groups of them. Operation Dudula, which is very active in KwaZulu-Natal, and March on March, which is also very active in KwaZulu-Natal.
Right.
And the whole idea, by the 30th of June, they are speaking with both sides of the mouth. One side is saying only undocumented. The other one is saying even documented.
All of them.
But even if you are documented, hasn't the environment been made so toxic? Before you explain yourself and give your papers, which upon display may also be destroyed, people are thinking of leaving. People are selling their items.
The best thing is just to leave.
Yeah. That is what is happening.
Don't risk it, yeah.
Don't risk it. And what South Africans don't know, it can happen. People may boycott MTN. People may boycott Stanbic. People may boycott ShopRite. People may boycott Marks and Beans. And all these outlets which are taking money to South Africa, which is helping them enjoy the quality of life that they are enjoying. They don't see the total picture. They only see it from a very narrow, myopic perspective. And their politicians are not helping in this regard.
Prof, how would a politician, and I'm asking this because I want to understand, how would anyone, forget even a politician, benefit from this kind of division in South Africa?
You know, your typical African politician is not interested in the welfare of the people that they lead.
Yes.
So as long as they have an environment where they can go into parliament and make their own money, they don't care whether the people are poor. In fact, they love them when they are poor. Because when they are poor, you can always give them 10 rand or 20 rand and they run to your rallies and you think that you are now a big man because some 30,000 individuals have attended your rallies. So they don't care. In countries where politicians care about their people, the language is totally different. The language is, if they are undocumented individuals, we give you a 30-day moratorium, regularize. But that is not the language that we are hearing in South Africa. The language is, leave. You are taking away our jobs. Even a driver is saying a doctor is taking their job. Leadership is about clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, let me be a little blunt, CT.
Yes.
You know, there is something that I've admired about the Agikoyo in Kenya.
Yes.
They see opportunities where you don't see them.
Yes.
The Somalis.
Yes.
Who today, when I want to transfer money
Yes.
from Dubai,
Yes.
I simply go into a forex bureau and cause that money to be received real time.
Yeah.
So what should we emulate? We should now emulate them and say, how do we make sure that this thing is mainstream?
Yes.
And if there are certain weak communities, particularly even if you are to talk about Kenya, for example, then we say there are certain businesses that we'll reserve for the locals.
Yes.
Because this is an area they are weak, therefore this is affirmative action of an economic kind.
Yes.
But the others, you teach them.
Yes.
They learn. Then in the next 15 years, they'll be as good as you are. That is the attitude that should be replicated. And you said something a little earlier. We are talking about Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which means that our tea in Kenya should be moved to Johannesburg in South Africa without any tariff and non-tariff barriers. That is only possible, among other things, if there is mobility of labor. That is why I'm personally involved in a movement we are saying visa-less Africa, no visa. I wake up in the morning in Nairobi, Kenya. I want to go to Maiduguri in Nigeria. I should just be able to take a plane and be there as if it were domestic. And let me tell you, if we were able to do that, this African GDP that you talk about, 3 trillion, in 5 years it would be 10 trillion.
Yes.
Because tourism, airfares will begin to come down. I'll not be going to Dubai. What is there to see in Dubai? I'd go to Zambia, I'd go to Tanzania, I would go to Rwanda and Burundi and Central African Republic. These are the things, Paul, that we must tell the South Africans.
Yes.
And we hope that their leaders, and CT has given a perfect example of Angela Merkel. She even said it about the tax.
Yes, she did.
Let us have leaders who are resolute, who are able to say we are not going to allow this namby-pamby, these nice speeches which don't yield much are not going to help.
Welcome back, guys. I told you guys, I said it takes someone who is very intelligent to understand what a Pan-Africanist means. The whites are there to divide the Africans into pieces and make sure that we are not united, because they know exactly how it's going to be if Africa is united and they have one voice. I'm telling you, even the Europeans will not be able to compete with us. The Americans will not have the kind of mighty strength we have if Africans are united. But it's so sad that we have this kind of blacks mentality, and this black mentality are the issues that we are facing in Africa that always make sure that it divides us. We cannot come together to have one voice, to unite ourselves. And you know, it's so sad that we find ourselves Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, Uganda, Zimbabwe, Kenya, all of them, they're all pieces. Everybody is showing power to their African brothers. You understand? We are not coming together to compete with the world. We are just showing power. You know, Ghana is saying I'm bigger than Kenya. Kenya is saying I'm bigger than Uganda. Uganda is saying I'm bigger than this. Nigeria is saying I'm giant of Africa. South Africa is saying we are the most beautiful. You know, it's crazy sometimes. This kind of ideas that we have. You know, this kind of egos that African, you know, had, that they cannot be able to sit down, find solution to their problems, and make sure that they come together as a united state of Africa to make African work for the African people. And people are doing these things not because they love Africans. They are doing it to divide us. They are doing it because of their own political interest, because they know they are using the, you know, divide and rules. You know, when the countries are divided, it's easy for the elite, it's easy for the politicians to rule us and tell us, oh, this is this, this is that. So it's so sad the kind of conditions we find ourselves in Africa. But at least we will surely bring this, at least we will definitely bring this to you and to give you updates about what is trending. If you believe that what Lumumba have said is right, give your comments in the comment section below. And if you also believe that what the professor have said is not the right way for the Africans, also give your comments in the comment section below. But it's so sad if a taxi driver is, you know, beating a doctor for taking his job. It's crazy, and it sounds so crazy for African to be happening in the African land. Peace out.